Hello, the internet. Happy Friday and welcome to another episode of Enter the Popverse. I am, of course, you say that like Nick Lachey. That's for all of my Love is Blind fans. You say, of course, so that everybody thinks that they're already in the right place. I am, of course, your video host and producer, Ashley Victoria Robinson, and I welcome you into the Popverse. Enter the Popverse is our weekly roundup chat show where we are celebrating all things geeky. We are rounding up all the best geek stories of the week. If you are not familiar, the Popverse is a virtual realm created by ReadPop, where we are celebrating the best in TV, movies, and comics. There is so much going on here all the time. We are always endeavoring to have a super fun, happy time. Shout out to Jake Hefner. First comment, as usual, happy start to the weekend, Popverse. Hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're doing well, my friend. And now that you're here, I'm hoping that you're doing even better. I want to take this time also to remind you that if you are interested in anything that we're talking about here, if you want more information, if you want more articles, more photos, more videos, more hottest of hot takes, you can get that now and always at thepopverse.com, so you never miss a ding-dang thing that we're getting up to. While you're over there, I really recommend getting a Popverse membership. We're doing some really special things for our members over there, including a little video project that I am working on that you will see in a little bit. You can also see us in 3D, in IRL, in real life. If you head to New York Comic-Con, October 12th to 15th in New York City, the greatest city in the world, I am hosting the Ewan McGregor main stage panel and a couple more things that I'm going to be sharing with you over the next couple days. So if you can come on Thursday or Sunday, there's still just a few tickets left. This is the best link to get access to all things New York Comic Con. But let's say you live somewhere really cool like Istanbul and you simply can't manage to get to New York Comic Con. With the handy dandy Popverse membership, you get access to a bunch of live stream events, a bunch of exclusive content that if you can't make it to join us in 3D, you can make it to join us in virtual D. That's about as far as my tech knowledge has gone today, friends. Thank you so much for playing along. All right, it is that time. It is the time where we put our hands together for the first time in the traditional Enter the Popverse Theater Kid round of applause to talk something fun and exciting. You know what? I'm still striking. So just pray for me and send good vibes. He's already laughing. Let's welcome Graeme McMillan, our unofficial co-host. Hi, Graeme.
Hello there. I was laughing at virtual D. You had me at virtual D.
Look, I was going to my brain is making so many jokes that I don't think I can say out loud.
Let's not actually follow that down the line. Also, my mind is in the gutter because of the thing that you can't talk about that I'm here to talk about, which is Gen V, the new series that is spun off from The Boys on Prime Video. Which, again, you can't really say anything about. You just have to sit there and be like, that sounds interesting.
Tell me more, Graeme.
So Gen V is now out. The first, I think, 3 episodes are on Prime Video. It is a spin-off from The Boys, which is adapted from the Derek Robertson, Garth Ennis comic. For people who are unfamiliar with The Boys television show, it's not exactly the comic. It is, I would say the TV show is more satirical towards superheroes in general, especially as they exist in sort of movies and sort of pop cultural space. One of the things that's great about Gen V, which is genuinely an incredibly good show, is that it's that but more so. If you've ever watched the X-Men and thought this is not really the school experience, and wanted someone to do that with superheroes and with a really snarky point of view towards the way that you see these things on screen, Gen V is it. Gen V's first episode is amazing. Even people who don't like The Boys, I think, should check out the first episode of Gen V. It is funny. It is scary is not the right word, but there are very dark elements to it that are surprisingly dark. It starts with an amazing scene that I don't want to spoil, but is a wonderful superhero origin story that only a show like The Boys or Gen V could do.
So I have a comment in the chat that I would like for you to, I'm going to say address, but it's really not serious. Just maybe riff off of from Jake.
I'd argue it's quite different from the comic. I would say that the show is less scatological, shall we say, and more more broadly politically satirical
Mm-hmm.
than the comic is. I think the comic does. I think the comic does the Garth Ennis thing very well, and shows Garth Ennis's. I was going to say love for her, but that's not right. In a very particular, like Garth is a very particular relationship with superheroes, and he's made no like accident of showing that off.
and arguably even comics in general, yes.
Yeah, but especially superhero comics,
Yeah.
you know, like you see in things like Hitman, you see in things like The Pro, and especially in The Boys, the Garth thinks they're ridiculous, and not in a this is fun ridiculous way, in a why are you all reading this? This is absolutely stupid way. And The Boys, the comic, does that incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
The Boys, the show, I feel, is simultaneously more broadly comedic and more
Uh-huh.
serious.
Uh-huh.
And I think the Gen V weirdly doubles down on both those things. We also did this thing, and it was the screenshot you just pulled up about how Gen V is kind of season 3.5 of The Boys.
Yes.
It very much is for people who have been following the show on Prime. You know, specific things happen at the end of season 3. People, so The Boys as a show, for people who don't know, there is essentially like a Justice League stand-in called the Seven. There's Justice League stand-in called the Seven, and they are, you know, the world's greatest superheroes, but the joke / premises, they're actually all terrible, terrible human beings,
Mm-hmm.
and they're tools of a very particular corporate and political agenda.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of season 3, the Seven, there's 7 of them, it's in the name, there's only 5 of them left because of things that happen
Reasons.
that I'm not going to spoil. And episode 1 of Gen V is very clear about, oh, here you are, student who is, I mean, he's called Golden Boy, which is like very, again, this is broadly comedic in many ways. He's basically told, like, oh no, you're going to be one of the replacements. Like, we are very aware that this team, this is a franchise called the Seven. There needs to be 7 of them. You're being groomed to be one of the replacements. And things go sideways from there, as they should in all the best superhero dramas.
So I like this other comment that Jake followed up with that we could chat about. Ennis has a very distinctive style, and it's probably for the best that it's not a one-to-one translation to the screen, honestly.
Very, very true. Again, Garth Ennis is Garth Ennis incredibly well. You know when you're reading Garth Ennis' story. Both when he does comedy, which again is very scatological, is very
What would you note as his most comedic offering?
what would I note as his most comedic offering?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I automatically go to Hitman. I've got to be honest.
Okay.
I think
that's a solid choice.
But also he does serious really well as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't know if anyone remembers. So he did Hellblazer for a few years, way back at the start of his career. Like he was something insane, like 20 years old when he was doing Hellblazer. But there's a one show that's part of that called Heartland, which is basically about John Constantine's girlfriend going back to Northern Ireland, and is just amazing and devastating. And Steve Dillon does the art, and it's a gut punch. It's an amazing comic.
To say nothing of Preacher, of course.
Exactly, right? Well, which again is very scatological, but has very like does have an underpinning, does have an undertone of like Ennis is saying a lot about how America tells its own story to itself. And how that connects to ideas of the Western, how that connects to ideas of religion, how all of those things. But also, there's a character called Arseface, right? And his face looks like a butt. What? Like it's that combination of things. And you know, and Jake's right. You can't really do a one-to-one translation. There's stuff that Prime Video would never let on the screen.
Yeah.
Like The Boys, the comic is shockingly crude at times. You know?
There's also a truly frightening level of nudity in it.
Yes, well, there's one of the spin-offs, the spin-off that parodies the superhero event comic. It's called Herogasm.
Yeah.
So I mean, that
you
know what level you're working on there. But the show manages to take that attitude and, like I say, broaden it. You know, so you get things where, you know, Vought America is the corporation in the comic, and is in the background and is sort of there as a MacGuffin, as a sort of gimmick of like, well, this is where the superheroes come from. We need to have a backstory. And I would say it's arguably the most important element in the show, and especially something like Gen V, where they are, there's a world domination plot that's also kind of a world domination by corporate America plot, which is like not something that Ennis was necessarily wanted to tell a story. Crude is putting it mildly. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, the show, I think, it has very similar interests, but takes them in different directions. I'd honestly, I prefer the show. I've got to be honest, just because, like Jake said, Crude is putting it mildly. That is a pretty crude comic.
Graeme, before I let you go and we wrap up our boys talk, I want to leave you with this thought from when I worked in comic book retail. Somebody once told me to my face, and I think I've never argued with a customer harder, that The Boys is a more cerebral version of Preacher. And to this day, I find that to be just a hilarious statement. I think both of them, they're both iconic. There's a reason they've both gone on to other mediums, but I just like saying that out loud to other human people.
I'm shocked. And I'm now going. I would leave you with a version of this.
Please.
A well-respected comic book retailer once told me that Strangers in Paradise was Love and Rockets done right.
I have a feeling we're going to be bringing this back up again at a different time. Graeme, your favorite thing before I let you go back into the Popverse and I release you to the ether, where can everybody follow you online? I know you have online friends.
it's my first name and then my first last initial on Twitter, Send the Blue Skies.
Graeme, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for joining us preemptively next week.
Bye then. Bye. For the future.
All right, my dearest, darlingest friends. I know you're here because you saw his beautiful headshot on the thumbnail and you said, I simply can't miss out on listening to this genius. Come and talk to me about Superman. So please, once again, put your hands together in the traditional Enter the Popverse Theater Kid round of applause and join me in welcoming comic book writer and artist that you know from honestly a million things across the internet, but I'm going to call out rock star and soft boy and the upcoming Superman Harvest of Youth. Please join me in welcoming Sina Grace. Hi,
Sina. Hi, hello. And I'm not muted, right? I did it.
You're not. I'm not. Everything
I broke
is
the
going
curse.
really well. You're doing better than me on most days. Okay, I want to ask you before we get into all the deep discussions, are you wearing a jumpsuit today?
No, it's I thought about that, but I'm not feeling great in the belly area these days because I've been stress eating, so no jumpsuit. Today's just a sweatshirt day for you. I'm sorry. I let you down.
So yeah, I am also wearing
only at cons. Oh, well, there we go.
I feel like you and I are 99% of the time we interact accidentally matching in some way, shape, or form.
We could have done it today, but then it wouldn't have been an accident. But
and it would not have been authentic, right?
No.
So I hope the stress eating isn't because Superman: The Harvest of Youth is coming out.
No, it's not. No, it absolutely is. I don't know. Yeah, this is a very new thing too, to stress eat. Like, I'm just hungry all the time and I'm combusting calories all the time in the build up to Tuesday, October 3rd. Not that I've been thinking about that day for the last 2 years or something.
for your entire life. I'm going to say that maybe the stress eating on both of our parts lately has been because it's now autumn and we're just preparing for our hibernation and our de-stressing period.
Yes, I want that. That's the truth. That's my truth now.
Yeah. Can we cast our gaze back 2 years ago? And will you tell me how the Harvest of Youth even came to be? Did you pitch? Did DC come to you and say, please make us cry with a Superman story? How did this happen?
I went in and I was pitching my then editor, Diegues Lopez. I spent like 45 minutes pitching this like Green Arrow, Black Canary story. And I was trying real hard to be like, yeah, you want this, and these are the characters you're gonna let me have, because you won't let me have these bigger characters. And she sat through it all and she was like, yeah, cool. And then she was like, well, what would you do with Superman? I've spent my whole life thinking I'm not allowed.
Mhm.
And so it was wild to then, spend a weekend thinking about like a teenage Clark Kent and what issues he would be facing. And yeah, and for years, I just always had a block around Clark Kent and Superman. And, I think I'll be the first to admit it. I used to have a pretty like, narrow opinion of like him as a character to work on. I'm like, oh, like what's to do with him? And it's funny because years ago, I even said that like at a party to Mark Miller, and he was just like, "Buddy, you can do everything with him." And so then to have the assignment, and then to also look at my bookshelf and be like, "Wait, I have a ton of Superman books. Like, why
Mhm.
have I always thought he wasn't in my life or he
Mhm.
didn't matter to me?" And suddenly it's like, oh, and anyway, yeah. So sorry, very long story long. I just had this thought about kind of like how does Clark how does Clark kind of deal with mortality
Mhm.
and protecting mortality, right? He's protecting us. We're fragile. Um, in the face of recognizing that like he's immortal. Like I just thought about like, oh, this is like I know he's not immortal, but like, when you're a teenager
For all
and
intents and purposes.
yeah. I'm like, I know where I am. I know what space I'm in. I don't want
Yeah.
to get in the weeds about words.
I know someone will come to you on Twitter and be like, actually,
Yeah, it's like I know,
you believe the
but
sun. Did you even read Grant Morrison?
exactly. So that's why I'm like, I gotta mind my words. But just to think about like, in this book, I really didn't want to like talk about kryptonite at all. So like really he doesn't know what his weaknesses are. He only knows that he's super ultra powerful and different. And so the book starts with a death at the high school.
Mhm.
And yeah, so like Clark is kind of grappling with the stuff. His friends are dealing with really grown-up issues at a young age, and he wants to fix everything. And this book is about him learning what things he can fix, what things he can't fix, and when the powers are the right thing to do, and when the real aspects of Superman, the things that make him Superman, when that stuff comes into play, when his compassion and his spirit and his heart, are the solve rather than the laser beams and punching. But there's a lot of punching. There's a lot of punching.
Is there a lot of teenage Sina in the teenage Clark that we get to see in the Harvest of Youth? My goodness, I'm so sorry.
Uh Maybe I think there's a lot of like Clark observing his friends and maybe growing up. I think I love my friends. A lot of my books are just about, I mean, Rockstar and Softboy is about honoring a friendship with comic book writer Josh Trujillo.
Mhm.
So I think Clark just kind of, maybe just like being silently grateful for the people in his life. That's definitely something that was true to me. And then the book is dedicated to three classmates who unfortunately passed away, two in high school and one after. And I think this book is also I want to give them life. You know what I mean? Like I want to honor them, and so I think they show up more in the book than I do. But authors can't control that stuff. Like I'm in the book all over, but I'm just lie and say I'm not.
I just want to know for the super fans so we can be like, I see. We would have been friends when we were 15, or maybe we would not have been friends when we were 15.
I think yeah, we would have been friends. I mean, I think it's like I don't know because there's a teenage dirtbag character in there named Gil who like I think like he's probably like people would not he's the one at the way end with the
The
blue
frizzy
pants and the
hair?
black shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I had a lot of friends like Gil, and I think that would be the thing that you wouldn't necessarily like peg me as or
Mhm.
put me clump me with as like someone who kind of just like has a real sometimes like nasty attitude about things, but has a heart of gold. And I think in high school I had a lot of those friends where sometimes it would be like dude, you're killing me here, but all right, let's keep hanging out.
Those are your real friends, though. All right,
Yeah.
we got real personal. So let's go back to the comics of it all. You do so much. You do everything in this book. You're serving every possible duty. I feel like this was just you burrowing down in your rabbit warren creating. So what was your day-to-day like creating this graphic novel? What is your workflow like?
Yeah, well, before I forget, because you're talking about one of my favorite subjects, me. No, but before I forget, the book was like gorgeously colored by Chris Peter, and fantastically lettered by DC Hopkins, and that was just it was just really nice to work with people who understood that this thing was like way more personal than it had any right to be, and I was way more hands-on than I probably should have been. And they were fantastic, and Sarah Miller, who came on as editor too, even though it wasn't her baby and she didn't develop it, just really was the best and just spent way too much time kind of getting everything to a level of me being really, really happy and proud of it. But yeah, I wrote and drew the book. I'm also like the corner of my eyes because like I brought out some of like the original page. I drew on boards again. Like I just didn't want to. I didn't want to do digital for this. I wanted it to be very like. I wanted that texture of like sometimes when you're inking by hand, like mess ups happen and there's no amount of whiteout that can fix it. And I wanted that in the book, and I kept a lot of like weird mistakes in the book. Just because I don't know. I like when things feel human. It's something I've like grown to dig. But anyway,
that's like a fun Easter egg though. Maybe if someone points someone out to you, maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's mainly like you didn't fill that black space scene. It's just an X. Yeah, so the crazy thing is that like I signed the contract for this book I think like May 2020. So like publishing had shut down. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I turned in my last page of art November 2022. So like it didn't hit me until I was like promoting this at ALA where I was like, oh, this is my whole pandemic. Like this is me trapped at home with, nothing to do besides this book. And so I had a lot of time to really like develop everything and really work through the cast dynamics. And like I spent a lot of time just like there's a sketchbook in the back of the book where I think we have it in there where I'm literally like analyzing head shapes of characters right there. Like just to like be like, okay, this is how their head shape is different than that head shape. It's like I just wanted to make sure everyone was really like fleshed out and unique. So the process was I wrote the book and then I had to like lay out the book. And usually when you're doing graphic novels, they want you to work in order, as I'm learning from other graphic novel editors. And I'm just really blessed that both Diegs and Sarah were like, I was just like, I don't want to like, I think page 4 or 5 is like that spread of him flying that you showed earlier. And I was like, I don't want to start on that. Like that's such a good page and I want to be like very comfortable drawing Clark. So I was like, I'm gonna just move around and draw like random pages till I get more comfortable, and they're really great about that. So I was working out of order.
Wow.
And then after a point, once we brought in Chris, my editor Sarah was like, yeah, so can you start working in sequence, because like this isn't fair to a colorist to just be like, and now you're coloring pages 18 through 30 and then 47 through 61 and then randomly page 72 so then the rest of the rest of 22 was like me just like working in sequence to bang out the book like as it reads for the people. And then we got the whole thing done, and then we're looking at it and we're like, okay, now let's change this, now let's change that. And we even added more pages to it to like really give some characters just sort of like a clearer through line of what's happening. And yeah, DC was so cool about this whole project. They were like the nicest. And I don't think when you're working with publishers who are in charge of sort of this like large network of where the intellectual property goes, I think sometimes, they're a little protective. It's their toys, and I get it. And for them to just say yes to me being like, and there is teen suicide on page 14. Like they're like, I mean, and obviously like, we worked really sensitively and lovingly as a team to balance all of that. But to have a publisher just sort of like say yes, like use our toys to talk about really important things and hold readers' hands through some sort of darker territory. That was really fantastic. And yeah, I'm pure gratitude.
I love that you seem to be a mood creator. Like there are mood readers, and you're like, I'm gonna work on what I'm vibing with right now. I love that.
I guess so.
That's like so charming to me and so delightful. But the collector in me has to ask because you showed those original pages.
Yeah.
Are those going to be available for purchase in future?
Yeah, I think I don't know when we're gonna launch it, but yeah, I gave my art dealer like at Comic-Con, I was like, here. And I was like, you price them because I have literally like a couple of the pages, like one of the publicists at DC, Clark Bull, has
We love
some, my lawyer
Clark.
has one. We love Clark. Clark, I know you're not watching because you have 70 other things to do, but yeah, I like it. I would be like, oh, you talked nice to me, $50. So like my art dealer, I'm just like, you price them because this is I have car insurance due. Like you got to help me out here, buddy. So most of the book will be on sale. The pages will be on sale, I think, in October. But I kept a few for myself, and the ones I kept are like I brought them here because I was like, oh, maybe I'll show them during the recording. I just dropped a bunch of books, and it's like the ones I kept are like I don't even think people would want. There's like I literally, where is it? Like I kept this page. It's not even like a good one, but it's of this girl Amy running, and I just thought I did a good job with the running. And I thought like, I liked her little like her little sleeves. Like that's not, no one wants that page, but I want it. So, I have that, and I also kept some of like I love Clark's parents in this book. I love them, and they're so cute and they're so flirty, even though they're
So cute.
yeah, I love them. I love them so much. So I kept weird pages like that for myself for posterity, but like I don't think that's what posterity means. I don't think you use in that sentence. I don't know. I'll look it up later. I kept some for my archive,
I
but not the cool fight scene ones. There's lots of punching.
Now I have anxiety because his parents are so cute. Because I'm always worried. I'm like, oh God, are they gonna, because with the Kents, it's like a 50-50 if they make it through the end of the book.
They're here to stay, but it is funny because there was at one point where I was like thinking about like, oh, what has been done, what hasn't been done with the Kents, blah blah blah, this, that, and the other. And I was thinking about like, oh, like what, like I was trying to like, I was like, is there enough grief in this book? Is there enough pain? And I think at one point I was like, and what if Ma Kent gets breast cancer? And my editor was just like, no, I think the family's fine. I think they're dealing with enough. But you just definitely, sometimes you have to try sentences on to realize that it's not a sentence that ever needs to be thought about again. But if I do another book, which I would love to, they will play into the book more. But no, I'm not gonna, this isn't, my book is not where they die or get put through their paces outside of like, is the business gonna survive?
Yeah. Also, you said my favorite thing, which is my favorite thing to tease creators about. If there's a second book, we have thought about a second book. We would love to do a second book.
I put my whole ass bad word into this book. Like when I finished it, I was like, I never thought there would be, so I just put everything into it. I just was like, I'm never gonna get a chance to work on Superman again. I'm never going to get a chance to write and draw anything like this at DC again. I think after the pandemic and everything we went through, like there was a moment where I was like, oh, 2019 was as good as it got. I was like, oh, that's as good as it gets for my career. Like I just finished Iceman and had really found, I found the right readers with it when I created that drag queen character, and I was working for this artist, Jenny Lewis, and I did a Haunted Mansion comic, and I was just like, oh, that's as good as it gets. Okay. And I was just like, okay, I think I was grateful in that moment, but maybe I wasn't. Maybe I thought there'd be more, and no, there might not be. There isn't. And so I had that attitude when Superman was like definitely going to happen, and I just went into like, this might be as good as it gets. Like, this might be the only time you work with Clark. And it's only recently that, like, I'm even bothering to think, like, remotely, like, wait, what if people like the book? Which I'd never, what? And what if they like it enough that DC's like, do another one? So I have thought about it. And the one thing I can say is, like, like my first instinct feels like my worst instinct, which is like I'm like, I think Clark's gonna go like tour colleges.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a road trip book. And I don't think that that's what it's going to be. Because I was like, and then he'll meet Lois. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I'm going to keep him in Smallville, I think. But if, just everyone please buy like 7 copies. I think if everyone listening buys 7 copies, then DC will be happy with me.
Well, not for nothing. The holidays are coming up, various holidays that are traditional for gift giving. So
I know it looks really good on the bookshelf. You know what I mean? James Tynan also wrote a really lovely quote on it. That was so nice of him. And I asked, but DC asked first, so I wasn't even pulling a friend favorite. That was just James. And to thank him, I gave him a Lex Luthor page, because of course.
Oh, yes, that's very cool. I do feel like you're a bit of a reverse manifester, though. You're like, never going to write Superman, and then like a Superman book comes for you.
I mean, well, that's and James and I actually had like a conversation recently. He's very good at making people their best selves. And I said something out loud where I was like, I'm like, I never want to touch Batman. I've always loved Batman. I don't know how to draw Batman. And of course, like the greatest career milestone I think any illustrator in comics could have is getting their own Batman black and white statue. I'm like, that is when you're done. Like that is, and I was like saying all of this out loud in front of him, and he was just like, blink, blink, blink. And I was like, okay, fine. All right, that'll be the next goal, is to draw Batman so singular, figure out how to draw Batman so singularly and iconically that I get a Batman black and white statue with my name on it. And that's so, you heard it here first. I'm going to now just actually try to hit my 13-year-old kid dreams. And then I'll also single-handedly bring back the cliffhanger line.
Oh my God,
so that is a deep cut. I gotta get much better at drawing for that, but
mark my words, you will be back here talking to me, or we'll be talking in IRL about your Batman statue, and I'm gonna be holding it and be like, remember when? And then it's gonna sit on the shelf back there.
I have to dare to dream now. I have to dare to dream. That's the only way dreams come true, I guess, is by dreaming. I don't know.
A really sweet comment from Jake Effner, who's like, no lie, I'm just sitting here enthralled.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Jake.
As we all are. Sina, I've kept you longer than I promised, but I would love to ask you 2 questions that we like to wrap up with creators with. A bunch of people watching this want to make their own comics. You do everything in comics. So what is your best advice to aspiring creators?
Well, I think doing everything insofar as do everything so you know what other people are doing. So you're, you know how to communicate with them, and you have gratitude, and you can respect the timelines they need to do things. And also you pay them more when you disrespect the timelines. That is and then also do everything so you know what you're bad at. I think I read an interview with Brian Bendis like literally 15 years ago or something, and he was like, one of the best pieces of advice I got was to stop drawing my own comics. and look where that took him. Look where that got him. The internet is your friend. YouTube has tutorials for everything. Invest in yourself, spend money on yourself. Like for the longest, I draw on my iPad. Like I lay out on my iPad, and to put my iPad at an angle, I would just like stack books and lean it over. I literally but for $15 frickin' on Amazon, it's like, here's this thing, this stupid tool that I could have bought ages ago. That, and I just, how many years have I been running around like stacking books? There's a tool. Invest in yourself. That was $15. Like that's somebody's like daily coffee budget, or that's someone's boba budget,
Yeah.
So it just, any money it's like, I know money is hard for everybody, but this is a craft. This is your passion. Set aside money for your passion, and set aside time for your passion. People are, I don't know. And if anyone has a specific question, I'm here for another couple minutes. So ask specific ones about that stuff. But I would just say, like, you're always a student, work on your craft. YouTube is your friend.
And then lastly, but not leastly, what are you geeking out about right now that you're not working on?
I'm so glad that I thought about this. I was like, oh wait, no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get that question. I'm
Yeah.
gonna freaking forget. First of all, I love Simone de Meo's art, and then to be paired with Josh Williamson is a dream. Like, look at this. Just like look at this. This makes me want to quit comics, and I just all the 3-point perspectives. I can't handle it. I love anything Dan Mora draws, so I'm excited about Shazam. I stupidly, so I haven't read it yet, but I stupidly bought Blue Beetle #1, the new arc by Josh Trujillo and Adrian Gutierrez, but I bought it in Spanish, and my Spanish is good, not great. So I'm just looking at the pretty pictures in this one.
You
and then
Duolingo life learning Spanish?
I'm it's mainly like I listen to Shakira lyrics and then look up the lyrics, and I'm like, I know what that word is. And then lastly, something not DC is my friend Jarrett Melendez just made my Pokemon baking book from Inside Editions, and I haven't baked in a while. I'm the opposite of everyone. I stopped baking in the pandemic, but like, look at that. Look at that. Just yeah. Anyway, so I might get back into baking, and as in, I probably will because it's really cold today.
It is. In LA, it's freezing.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I like when like there's like cool nerd crossover stuff, like nerd stuff and baking stuff. Like I love Kim Joy from Great British Bake Off, and I love that. Like I feel like she kind of even helped that trend keep going of like comic stuff and the kitchen.
All right, Sina, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, that's the wrong lower third. That's our next friend. But you know what? You can be Ileana too. We can all be friends here.
Hell yeah.
See, you didn't have a technical difficulty, so I had to have the technical difficulty. It's all okay.
Well, it was a great time. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and Superman: The Heart of Youth is out on October 3rd. Pretty much any minute now.
Any minute now. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye. All right, friends, I've spoiled it. You know she's coming. So let's just get right ding dang into it. Do one more traditional theater kid round of applause and join me in welcoming back to the show for her, I don't know, 5th time. She comes a lot. Ileana Gonzalez Sojo. Hi, Ileana.
Hello. How are you today, Ashley?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad it's officially fall. Last time I came, it wasn't officially fall, and now it is, and I'm living my best little pumpkin spice life still.
Also, I want to let everybody know who's watching that I would say now the majority of the time you see any of the fun comments, you get anything lovely in here from Popverse. Like most of the time, that's Ileana. So we love her for being the face of Enter the Popverse's digital presence.
Yes. Love to do it. Love hanging out in the comments.
Everyone's usually
chatting with Jake.
They best behavior. So
we
have fun there. But I got a couple questions because you have, I'm not going to say made a pivot because it's not like you've changed completely, but you've expanded your horizons here at Popverse. And I want to say congratulations on your first interviews coming out with Popverse.
Thank you. Yes, I was very excited. I got to interview Claribel Ortega, the author of Frizzy, and then the editor of Frizzy, Kiara Valdez, as well. And yeah, it was my first interview with Popverse. I was very excited. I was very nervous because I didn't really know how to conduct an interview, and obviously, Ashley, you do it so well every week. But like for us people who've never done it before, it was a little nerve-wracking. But luckily, the whole Popverse team, came around, supported me, gave me some tips, and now we have 2 awesome interviews up on thepopverse.com to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month.
And as Jake says, we should all strive to be Ileana. That's true. Ileana also has really great taste in books. And if you've been watching us hate read, and then love read, It's been an evolution, Shadow and Bone. Graeme also popping in Ileana.
Hi, Graeme.
Okay, so you mentioned Hispanic Heritage Month. So for anyone who doesn't know, because it does fall kind of in the middle of 2 months. What is Hispanic Heritage Month? Why is it important? What are we doing here at Popverse to support it?
Well, it starts September 15th, so we're already pretty well into our way of Hispanic Heritage Month, and then it ends October 15th, so right in the midst of New York Comic Con, which has been great, planning for both things. But no, it's really just a month to celebrate Hispanic, Latine, Latinx, whatever pronoun you choose to use. It's really just a way to celebrate all of those creators, individuals, and highlight their voices and works. And that's what I try to do with Clarabelle and Kiara, who are Afro-Dominican. And then also coming up, just a little spoiler, but like I also interviewed the illustrator for, you can't see the title, but it's called Yaqui Delgado Wants to Kick Your Ass, and that's coming soon, later this month. And so just very exciting to be able to highlight these creators.
So for anyone who hasn't read Frizzy yet and is going to jump over and check out your interviews, I would just love to ask you, could you like share a little bit about what the story is, or maybe what resonated with you and what made you want to speak to some of the creatives behind it?
Yeah, well, this was a little like selfish of me because I had followed Clarabelle since she wrote Ghost Squad, and then
good.
Yes, she wrote Ghost Squad, and then she also wrote, what is the other one? Witchlings, and they're both middle grade novels, and they're really, really good, and they're perfect to read right now during spooky season. So I really recommend those. And so then I followed her into her graphic novel journey, and so she worked on Frizzy, and Frizzy is kind of about her personal journey with her own hair, but it's still fictional. It sets on the character of Marlene. And she's just a young kid, and she's just trying to like live her best life, play, make friends. She's going to this quinceañera for her cousin, and like everyone's just trying to straighten her hair, put a damper on her individuality and her basically her body image and her beauty standards too. And so it's a really good.
Oh, did you pop back?
Am I gone?
Hey, we're here. We're live. Sometimes our computers don't talk to each other. Well, that's okay
great.
though, because I was going to make a pivot and let people know that, like I mentioned at the top of the show, you are also going to be at New York Comic Con, October 12th to 15th in New York City, the greatest city in the world.
I am so sorry for losing you. I didn't even know I was gone. But yes, I will be at New York Comic Con, which is in a few weeks, and I'm very excited to be there with the whole Popverse team.
Are you amenable if people see you running about to being like, I love you, you're so great, we loved your interviews? Or do you want people to not say hello to you if they see you at New York Comic Con?
No, please come, please say hello. I will most likely be running around the show floor trying to find some cool cosplayers, some cool people. So if you find me, you might end up in a Popverse social video. Just saying.
Oh, I will also tease, if you're a cosplayer and you specifically want to be found / featured by Ileana, like Blue Beetle would be a real mome, or anything adjacent to Blue Beetle.
I also love Blue Beetle. I love that Sina got the Spanish version. That's hilarious to me. But yeah,
awesome. Okay, Ileana, I want to ask, I usually ask creators, like, what is your advice for aspiring creators? And you're a creator in a different way because you didn't write a book, but you create video and you create written work. So for anybody who's watching this who wants to do what you do, or do what I do, or do what Popverse does, and they're not sure maybe how to shift into that or pivot, what's your advice to somebody who wants to like dip their toes into this online geekery?
Yeah, I think like it's similar to what Sina said. There's like not just YouTube, but TikTok, like social media. There's so many like great resources out there. And obviously, if you know someone who is doing this kind of work, reach out to them, see what their tips are. And my job is mainly like social media marketing, and a little more into the interviewee website article space. But like, just reach out to those around you for help and tips, because that's how I was able to do these articles and interviews with the support and help of my Popverse team. There are others. Just create a network for yourself. And I think social media is a great way to do that as well.
And not for nothing, but networking is just like using your friends' talents. One of the reasons why our Popverse social videos have grown and changed so much is because Ileana spent a lot of time investing in me and Veronica and helping us refine what we thought that looked like. So like it's just a mutual appreciation society here at the end of the show.
Yes, we love them.
All right, are you emotionally prepared for the final question?
Yes.
What are you geeking out about that you're not working on, and why is it Six of Crows? I'm kidding. You can say whatever you want.
I mean, it is Crooked Kingdom. I'm doing this weird thing where I don't want to finish things right as I'm about to finish them. Like, I still haven't finished The Witcher, and I don't know what's going on, but like, I just like am reserving. So I haven't finished Crooked Kingdom yet, but I guess I will very soon, today or tomorrow. And that's what I'm really geeking out about. I'm trying to think. I watched Game of Thrones recently, which was a whole journey, and now I haven't picked up a show since then. So I'm taking show recs, guys, if you have any.
Wait, tell everybody your @ so that they can give you show recs.
Oh, yes. My @ is Ileana G. Soto on Twitter and Instagram, or X and Instagram, whatever the heck that's.
It's always Twitter. It will never not be Twitter in this house.
I agree. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
I miss my little birdie. Ileana, I love you very much. I'm so proud of you. I think these interviews are great. I think Frizzy's like a really adorable book, and I'm so glad that you highlighted it. I can't wait to have you back after New York Comic Con where we can tell stories about how we didn't survive it.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. It's going to be great.
All right, I'll see you in like 2 weeks. Not
Yay!
even.
Can't wait to see you in person. Bye.
Friends, what a fun time. We had 3 beautiful, sexy guests, and no offense to everyone who came before, but like Ileana, I think really closed out strong in the sexy guest category. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through this episode of Enter the Popverse. As always, if you want anything that we talked about today, you want access to any of the links, you want more of the story, I always put them down in the description of this video. But the easiest thing to do is to go to thepopverse.com, where we are celebrating the best in TV, movies, and comics each and every single day. There's photos, there's articles, there's interviews, there's features, there's video, there is content in every form that you want to consume it over on thepopverse.com. While you're visiting there, get yourself a Popverse membership that gets you through the doors of access to absolutely everything that we're working on, including a very fun members-only video thing that's going to be coming up real soon. So selfishly, I really hope you get a Popverse membership so you can check that out. I hope to see you in 3D in New York in, oh my gosh, like 2 weeks, to see how much coffee I've drank, to see what we're all getting up to. And honestly, let's take a photo together, friends. That would make me so, so happy. I have been your video host and producer, as always, Ashley Victoria Robinson. I hope that you will do what this little banner down here says: click and like and subscribe and click the bell in that order. That way you always get notified for everything that we're getting up to in the Popverse, but especially when we go live. One of our most favorite things to do with all of our guests is to have your live comments coming through so that we can answer and we can tell jokes and we can have funny running bits like Graeme being a Skrull, because we all know it is a scientific fact that Graeme is a Skrull. Alrighty, friends, thank you once again for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.